World Soccer Winning 11-3 is a football game by Konami that was released for the PlayStation in Japan in 1998, and when you look at it you will be familiar with it straight away, as this is actually the Japanese version of the iconic ISS Pro 98 that was also released in the same year in other regions. So essentially it's the same as that game. I have done a previous video way back in the early days of the channel where I covered ISS Pro 98, so I'll make sure to drop a link to that video in the description. And when you compare that to the Japanese version, very little is different in terms of how it plays, feels, looks. If anything, the Japanese version, from what I remember, because of the region elements, it definitely moves and plays a lot faster. Obviously because the games were able to play at a different frame rate or hertz rate compared to that in Europe. So the game definitely is much faster than that from what I remember. But everything is there, even down to the players, with likes of even the teams, Brazil, France, and all of the iconic attributes that would have been familiar in the ISS Pro 98 game. The only difference is the language, as the text is all in Japanese. But after a few minutes of getting used to all of the menus and stuff, everything is pretty much the exact same. The only difference is, with, as you know, with most Japanese games, that when you're selecting various menus you have to press circle instead of X. X is usually to cancel out of menus, where circle is to select a menu, compared to European games. But when you actually get into the meat and bones of the game, the controls are the exact same as that of ISS Pro 98, where triangle was to play a through ball, square was to shoot, circle was to cross a ball, and X was to do your pass or to try and tackle, and circle would be the slide tackle. So it has all of the same characteristics and features. And for me, I do often reference ISS Pro 98 to be my favourite soccer game of all time, which for me it is, as even though for many people it may not be considered to be the easiest soccer game to pick up and play, but I always found that I was able to adapt to it a lot more. I remember going back to my first experience with ISS Pro and was on a demo that came with the UK PlayStation magazine in 1998, and I remember that demo disc also had a playable demo of Medieval 1, which again is another iconic game, even though it's in a completely different genre. But I remember being really drawn to ISS Pro, and at the time I hadn't played an awful lot of soccer games. I had played a little bit, like I played like FIFA, and I played likes of Actual Soccer, and I played a couple of others, but I didn't play them as fondly at the time compared to what I would get into with playing this demo. It was actually the demo of ISS Pro that prompted me to want to play other soccer games even more so after that, because I got so into that demo. Plus that demo always brings back so many fond memories. I remember my 7-year-old brother at the time, and I think I told this story before in the previous video, where he managed to score a goal from the halfway line against my brother and bet him 1-0, and my brother was about 14 at the time. So you can only imagine what happened there, because the story was I was outside, we were out in the street outside with some of our mates, and we were playing football out in the street. We were just playing like whatever, just playing heads and volleys or just kicking the ball around, just chilling with mates, and all you could hear was screaming going on in the house outside. And my youngest brother comes in and he's only like, I'm only after scoring, I'm only after beating him. And then of course then my other brother gets to go in, and his head is held in his hands, and then he goes in and he goes and he batters then my younger brother, because he couldn't take the win. He couldn't beat the fact that a 7-year-old had beaten him in the game and scored the goal that he did, because he literally scored from the halfway line. And it was hilarious, because that demo you could actually play as 2-player. You could play with multiple players as well, so you only play one half, but that didn't matter. That demo was so iconic. We had so many laughs playing it, and that's what prompted us to go out and buy the full game when it was released, as we had such a blast. We always refer to it as one of our most favourite soccer games, and for me personally it is because of that reason. It's because the demo started it all, and then we got the game itself. Let's just put it this way, with ISS Pro 98 there was serious hours put into that game from everybody at home in my house, from all of my brothers. And I have 4 younger brothers, and we all played that game a ton. Plus we used to kill each other playing it as well, so you can only imagine just the laughs that we had. That's why this game in particular holds so many fond memories for me, as for me it's my favourite football game of all time. I had such a laugh with it, and it truly is a classic. And even getting to play the Japanese version of it as well to record this video, it's just as good as I remember, and if anything it plays much faster than the version that I had years ago. So even just to have any opportunity to go back and play an iconic classic, or to play one of my favourite games of all time, for me is definitely a win in my book. So I highly recommend, regardless of the version that you play, or even any of the other earlier or even later ISS Pro games, I highly recommend you go and try them out, as for me they're definitely some of the best soccer games of all time. They just just have so much to offer. And if you want more flexibility and control in terms of how you can play, like FIFA, it's one of the very few soccer series that allows you to really have full control over your own play style. You can pick and choose how you want to play, and then you can adapt as you go. So it definitely has that dynamic to it. It's fantastic. So I would love to know your thoughts on World Soccer Winning 11-3, or say ISS Pro 98, if you have played it yourself, and if so, what do you think of it overall? Do you enjoy these series of games, or maybe not so much? Or do you prefer even FIFA in regards to ISS Pro? I would love to hear whatever stories you do have of these games, so be sure to share them down in the comments below. And if you have enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell to be updated of future videos. And if you would like to see more content around other types of soccer games also seen on the PlayStation, you can check out this playlist here on screen to see more of those games in action. And as always, keep those gaming memories alive.